Hello, everybody. I am so y'all know that I tend to be a little bit excitable. Come in. But I am beyond excited because today is a brand new day for Begin with Butter and the Begin with Butter Home Baking Academy. Today, my friends, is the first episode of I'll Bring Dessert. I can't believe I'm saying that! And my very good friend, Alabi, has agreed to be the first guest on the first episode of I'll Bring Dessert. You guys, when I came into the blogging game in 2021, Hamed was one of the first people who reached out to me and was like, yo, your stuff is really good. You are really dope. Keep going. You will grow. And I was like, oh, my account is so tiny. It's so small. But he was one of the first people who amplified my voice at Begin with Butter. He was one of the first people and continues to be one of the first people to always spread the good Begin with Butter news. He's always a source of positive inspiration, and he's always a source of the dopest recipes. And I'm so excited to jump into one of them today. So, I look at your stuff online and I'm like, it is so unfair that I'm sitting here hungry and now I have to look at this. So I am so excited to be able to make with you, teaching me one of your amazing recipes for beef lo mein. My daughter and I are both super looking forward to this. I am beyond excited today. So thank you. Thank you for being here today.
Absolutely. It's gonna be a good time. You know what? I think I'm more honored that you gave me a chance to be the first in this new series. You know,
really?
when you're the first on a new series, you always want to choose the person that's the most polished. And when you asked me to do it, I said, hey, definitely I want to do it. I know this is going to be a big thing. And I'm excited. Anytime I get to be associated with you, especially because you're such a, and I know this is Women's History Month, you're such a positive and you're such a great example of women business owners. And I'm just really proud and excited to just share this space with you today.
Thank you, Hamed. I really that means a lot to me. It really, really does. Like I said, our history is that you have consistently, it was almost as if when I was out there in the wilderness trying to figure out what I was doing, you kind of helped me along. And I will never, ever in my life forget that you did that. And I'm so grateful. So grateful.
I can't believe it's only been since 2021.
Yeah.
Wow.
Almost 2 years.
It's great. Wow.
I know.
Well, good for you. You're doing great stuff. I mean, the fact that it's only been 2 years.
It's a wild ride.
Yeah, you're doing good.
Well, thank you. It's been a wild ride, but we are here to talk about you today. So what I want people to know about you is, how did you get started with cooking? What made you want to pick up a wok and get started?
I'll talk while you get all that other stuff together.
It's together, sir, because I believe somebody told me that the meal is one in the prep.
It is one in the prep.
So what we are in my kitchen is together, sir. Cut the onions just like you told me to.
You know what? And that's one of the reasons why I really started cooking, because for me, I love, I have this saying, and I say, if you're not trying to be perfect, you're not trying hard enough. And we'll never be perfect, right?
Right, ever.
But when it comes to cooking, I feel like you can be so close to perfect if you simply focus on execution.
Yeah.
And when I first started cooking, I remember a story when I was younger with my mother. And, every boy wants to be in the kitchen with their mother. And I remember one time I was
eating or cooking?
Both. I mean, both.
Yeah.
I remember this one time specifically, I was in the, moms aren't going to keep it real with their children. Everything is great. I still have, artwork on the fridge from my kids
Of
whenever they
course.
come home with like macaroni on construction paper. But I remember this one time in the
Mandatory.
kitchen, I was making, and I think I was maybe like 7 or 8 years old, and I was making some baked chicken. And back then, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And I was like putting onion pieces in the chicken. And I'm thinking to myself, why didn't my mother tell me back then that that wasn't good? But, that the Prince Eats is really an opportunity for people to get a head start on really generational wealth when it comes to um, having confidence in the kitchen, knowing about sensible meals and how you can execute really restaurant quality meals during the week.
Right.
I mean,
Yes.
I'm a full-time worker. I work full-time. 9 to 5 is out the window. I work
Mm-hmm.
emergency management, and that is
Mm-hmm.
literally a 365-day a year job. And it's even busier during some times of the year.
Right.
But I want people to know you can still have a full-time job. I've had 5 kids. You can still get in the kitchen and cook.
Yeah.
There's really no excuse. When I
Mm-hmm.
came up back in the 80s and 90s, my mother, single woman, not married, she had to fend for herself often.
Right.
And many times I saw her do really great things in the kitchen. And it really just motivates me to uh, try to support people in the best way that I can.
Nice. Nice. It is so wonderful to hear kind of your origin story because I think sometimes it can get lost that there are real people behind these accounts, right? Like you are a celebrity. To people who know you as the Prince Eats, you are a celebrity.
Mhm.
And so it can get lost that there's like real people behind these accounts. So I'm super happy that you are here with us today to make this meal. Hamed and I both believe in the principle of mise en place. For me, what that means is I prep all of my ingredients beforehand when I'm baking. I also do it when I'm cooking, as I've done here today, because as my friend Hamed says, what is it?
The meal is won in the prep.
And that is so true. It's true for cooking, it's true for baking. Like it just sets you up to have a really good time in the kitchen. And that's what we're about to do. We are about to get started right now. Hamed has graciously agreed to walk me through this recipe. So let's get it started. Like, what do I need to do first?
Yeah, so if this recipe, here's why I love this recipe,
Okay.
because it can literally be done in less than 30 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and it happens so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing so this beef lo mein recipe, it pulls on, Chinese American, really Asian fusion into one.
Yum.
Also, what I love about this recipe is you can control the ingredients.
Right.
Many Chinese American recipes, it can either be loaded with whether it be sugar or salt. And one thing I try to incorporate into my meals is being very sensible with non-important ingredients. Like
Nice.
you will never see a recipe of mine that is overly loaded with more than one ingredient.
Right.
So for this recipe, if you notice, and you can check it out on my YouTube page,
Mm-hmm.
you notice I very much balanced the sodium and the sweet and the spicy. And really what that
Yes.
lets you do at the end of the day, if you want something a little bit more salty, you can up the soy sauce a little bit. Or
Right.
if we're talking, you want, umami flavors a little bit more, you can maybe increase the oyster sauce, or
Mm-hmm.
you can increase the any of the other ingredients. So as
Mm-hmm.
you're going through this, keep in mind, if there's a flavor that you like a little bit more than the other, even like
Mm-hmm.
the hoisin, the hoisin I love hoisin sauce because it allows you to get the best of both worlds with sweet and savory.
Right. Right.
So as you're going through this, if you like something a little bit more than the other, go ahead and add it because it's really what you want it to be. The only thing I will say I like to use dark soy sauce, premium
Uh-huh.
dark, because
Yeah.
premium
The
dark
Pearl
really
River
gives,
Bridge.
yep, it
Okay.
gives you a really great color. At the same time, there's a little bit of sweetness to it. So
Mm-hmm.
be careful with that. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that your wok is hot. So you're dealing with a wok, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
assuming that
Alexa, stop.
obviously you know how to use it. So put it over
What gave you that impression?
because but that's what you want to see in a wok like
Yeah,
that.
it's seasoned. It's
That is
very
the kind of wok
seasoned.
that you want to see, because it's not going to stick. And whenever you're
Oh
using wok,
no.
you want to make sure it doesn't stick.
Yeah,
So
I
bring that
don't.
up to medium high.
Okay.
And then when you put your hand over it, if you can feel that heat about 6 inches from the bottom of the pan, you'll know
Mhm.
it's ready to go.
Okay. Now, once I get to that point, then what do I need to do?
So then you can put your oil in the pan. So you don't want to use too much. Again, you have a pretty good seasoned wok. So you want to
Pretty
use
good.
maybe
Pretty
um yeah.
good. How much oil do I need?
Well, how much beef do you have? Can I
I
see how
have
much you
about
have?
2 pounds.
2 pounds? Yeah, so use maybe a quarter cup,
Okay.
just enough. You don't want to flood the steak in the
Right.
oil. You just want it enough to where you can sear it, because
Okay.
that steak is going to cook really quickly. If you're using
Okay.
a flank steak, if you cut it thinly, that steak should only cook for approximately 1 to 2 minutes on both sides.
Oh my gosh. I'm telling you now, it's entirely possible. I'm gonna sit here and just pick out, like, once the beef is done, just pick it out and
You,
eat it. I'm
if
just
you,
saying
but
because
you
I'm
see,
greedy.
you see my reels, and oftentimes while I'm plating, I'm eating, and a lot of people think that's just show. A lot of times I am eating the food as I
Oh
should,
yeah,
because
because we're hungry.
yeah, we're hungry.
That's the real
So
thing. Yeah.
once that gets
It's
up to
quality
be,
control, and that we got to make sure things are like, we got to make sure our salt, sugar, the dish like this, that umami that we're looking for, we have to make sure it's there before we serve it, right? Right?
hey,
Right?
like I watched this show, Four Levels, and the chef is always talking about home cooks don't taste test their food. I'm like, I taste test my food all the
All
time.
the time.
What is this? What is he talking about?
He doesn't know. He has
He
no
doesn't. He
idea.
doesn't know.
Okay, so I see some people chiming in. What are we saying in the chat? Somebody says, hi. Hi, Sharon. Hello. If you're joining us today, let me know where you're joining from. Say hi. All right. So we're getting there with the heat.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're
but you know
almost
what?
there.
If it feels relatively hot,
Mm-hmm.
just go ahead and pour some oil in the pan.
All right, let's
Start
go.
out with, yeah,
Say
maybe
about a
one
quarter
and
of
a
a
half
cup.
second. Yep, just like that. That's good.
All righty. So we got
And
our
the
oil in the
marinade.
pan.
So let's just talk about it for a little bit. So the marinade
Sure.
that you have in the beef, it's a very simple marinade.
Mm-hmm. It
So we have
is so
soy
simple.
sauce. We have a little
Yep.
bit of baking powder, baking
Baking
soda.
soda.
And again, the baking
Mm-hmm.
soda helps to tenderize the beef. Like a lot of people ask, like, man, how do you get the beef that tender?
Right.
Baking soda has properties that really allows the beef to tenderize. And if you're
Right.
cutting it against the grain, that's going to be even better. The soy sauce even helps to tenderize the beef.
See, and these are
So
things I didn't even know. Am I
yeah,
ready to drop this?
go ahead, drop it in there. Be careful.
Thank you, Chef.
All right. So
Go.
flatten that out. Allow it to have as
Mm.
much surface area as possible on the bottom of that pan. So what I
Okay.
like to do whenever I'm cooking the beef, I don't like to touch it. Like once I spread it out and I
Mm-hmm.
let every piece of the beef touch the
Uh-huh.
bottom of the pan, I just let it go,
You
because
just
I
want to
really want it to
caramelize.
brown. Let it
Okay.
caramelize. I really want it to
Mm.
brown, and that also helps with presentation. I
That
always
smells
tell
so good
people,
already.
oh,
That
it's going to,
smells so good already. Oh my
it,
gosh.
if if we get through this episode and you don't taste test any of that beef,
Taste that
I know
skin off.
you just not a foodie.
Excuse me, not a foodie.
Yep.
It's like a slap in the face. So how long am I letting it go on the side?
1 to 2 minutes. So like I said, you're using a cooktop. So one thing I always encourage people to do when you're in the kitchen, whether you're using an electric stove, a cooktop, or a gas stove, just be present in the moment. Always. And be prepared to alter the heat. So you're using the cooktop, you can probably afford to go a little bit higher. So you can probably afford to turn it up to high heat. But really what you want to look for is when you start smelling smoke just a little bit, because that's how you can tell that there's some sugars that are beginning to caramelize. And those sugars, it's not going to take it long before they start to caramelize. So if they start to caramelize, you know it's good to go.
Oh, that smells good.
You can even take a peek. Like I like to use tongs and maybe like a minute and a half in. I like just to take a peek at the bottom of the steak. If it turns dark, I like mine to turn black. Some people don't like that because they think it's burned, but it's really not burned.
Yeah,
that's just the sugar. That's just sugar changing color, right? So if it starts to look really dark, you know it's good to go.
Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah, we'll just let it sit.
It's a little dark.
Yeah, we'll just let it sit. I mean, we have time. Yeah, again, the most important thing for this recipe, and you know why I like this recipe? Because my kids, we love to eat takeout. So on Fridays, we're doing one of two things. We're eating pizza or we're eating Chinese food. But the
solid choices, by the way.
What's that?
I said very solid choices either way.
You know what, kids, thankfully my kids, they don't, they're not complex. They're not very complex. So they love what we love. And I think that also is a testament of the food that we introduced them to.
Right. You probably introduced it pretty early too.
Yeah. I mean, thankfully they have a chance to, explore culinary, dishes that range from Indian to West African to Southern.
Yeah, we have to talk about that jollof. How did you develop your jollof recipe?
You know what? The jollof rice
recipe. Which country inspired it? Because there's a whole, which African country inspired your jollof?
You know what? I have Nigerian roots, so that is really that's the foundation of the jollof rice, but in honor of really West African culture, because it really originates from Senegal and the Senegalese. I try to incorporate flavors.
Are you admitting this?
What's that?
You're Nigerian and you're admitting that?
Yeah. You know what? But I'm reasonable. Some people, when it comes to jollof rice wars, some people are just so unreasonable. And I'm like, guys, it ain't even that serious. It ain't even that serious.
It is that serious.
But you know what?
Oh, what?
How's it look?
Oh, it looks so good. I've got some charred bits, which is what I wanted, because I know when it goes back into the rice, that's going to soften up.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It smells incredible.
If you feel comfortable with that, go ahead and just mix it all around. You're probably not going to. It's probably going to take you too much time to flip over everyone individually.
Okay.
So you can just stir it like that, and then give it another minute. Flatten it out.
Kiddos.
That's how my kids are. They, and on my TikTok, I typically just do ASMR.
Say it again.
I said on my TikTok, I typically just do ASMR. I normally play
so you can take the sound
music,
out.
Just so that people can hear the sounds from the kitchen.
Yeah.
You'll hear my daughter in the background and my other kids playing around.
They're not playing. They're arguing about a charger.
That's how it happens. That sounds
about
right.
How old are yours? How old are your 5?
So we have 16, we have 10, 5, 2, and a 3-month-old.
Oh my goodness. You have a baby.
it's a wide range, but you know what? They're
What?
so good because they help out.
Can I eat
So
this now? Can I eat this now?
you know, it's good to go. It's thin.
Yeah,
I like my steak medium. So if you like yours medium, that should be medium right about now.
so I take it out and put it in the bowl,
Yep, take it out and put it in the bowl.
and we're gonna build some other stuff. I need a bigger spoon.
What noodles do you have?
I have my some lo mein noodles.
Okay.
My water's
All right,
already going, so
that's
whenever you tell me to drop noodles, chef, I will drop noodles.
yep. You can drop the noodles in because everything else is going to go pretty fast.
Okay.
You know the noodles that I love. I've made this a few times before,
Uh-huh.
and the dry noodles they work, but I really like Twin Marquis noodles in the freezer aisle. They're really good.
Okay.
I like them.
Hey,
They're
I
already
like the recommendation.
yeah. Let me show you one if I can.
Okay,
Let
sure.
me show you.
Come on now, you. While he's doing that, friends, I'm gonna just taste this beef. Quality control is a big deal in my kitchen, so let me just.
This is the brand that I like to use. As you can see, it's already cooked, and you just simply drop it in the water for 3 to 5 minutes, and it's cooked, and it's thick. It's thick. It's really thick the way I like.
Can you put the name in the chat?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks. All right, so
drop that in the water.
okay, I'm just trying to see the 4 minutes.
What's the cook time on that?
4 minutes.
4 minutes? Yeah, that's perfect. You'll be done by that time.
4 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
It goes that fast.
I like it.
I promise you it goes fast.
You did promise, so. All right. And I usually actually cook my noodles like a minute less. So we tested the beef just for quality control purposes. It's unbelievable.
Okay.
I'm over here like not wanting to finish because I just want to take a fork and this bowl and go disappear somewhere.
You know what? I do that all the time. Sometimes I make more than what I'm supposed to just so I can taste test. All right, so the heat.
What do I have to do now?
All right, so the heat. How's the pan feel right now? Do you feel like it's hot?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so toss in a little bit more oil, just enough to get some fragrance out of your ginger and garlic.
Okay. Got some oil.
Yeah, the pan looks good. So we can toss in that
the onion.
Well, let's say you got onions and carrots too.
Yep, I have onions. I have ginger and garlic. I have carrots. I have bok choy and scallions.
Okay, good. So you're using the whole recipe. All right, so
Absolutely.
we can toss. Yeah, so toss in that. Let's go this way. You can toss in the onions and the carrots, and we're going to soften that up for a little bit.
Going in.
And those aren't going to burn so much, so you can really afford to use medium high to high heat. My onions, I love onions, and some people they like their onions cooked to where they're either translucent or they're very tender. For a lot of my Asian recipes, I love them to have a little bit of a bite.
Me too.
Yeah, so you don't want to cook that for so long.
Right.
No more than 2.5, 3 minutes. Once you see they start to lose their integrity, just go ahead and remove them and put them into a fresh. It smells good. It smells really good, doesn't it?
Oh my gosh. Good is not even the word. And the crazy thing about onions for me is how they deglaze pans.
Oh my gosh.
It surprises me every time. I'm like, why is the onion doing that? And I know why it's doing it.
And that's the great thing about some of these recipes is if you really just focus on just the execution, and there's always an order. I tell my kids all the time, there's an order to everything. So
absolutely,
if you cook things in order, you got all your stuff spread out over there. If you cook your things in order, the process is going to repay you.
Oh yeah.
So once you let that cook for about 2 minutes, You can remove that, and then you can go ahead and put in the box. The box not going to take long at all. Again, it's a cabbage family. The box typically,
Sure.
and you don't have the whites of the box, right? You just have the greens.
Right, just the greens.
All right, so then we can save that for last.
All right, so my noodles are done. I'm just going to take these out while my onions and carrots are finishing up. This is so exciting.
You also want to rinse those in cold water so that it stops the cooking process.
I want to rinse them.
Yeah. One thing I don't like is mushy noodles.
Right.
Because that can it can just break apart all in the pan. Like I'm a huge proponent of al dente noodles. So
all right, I got you. I'm rinsing my noodles. I will be right back with you. Thank you for letting me know. And I had a bowl. All right, so we've got our noodles all set.
All right, cool.
All
so
righty.
You should be able to take all that out now.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. All right, so carrots and onions coming out.
Yes.
Again, it just smells so good in my kitchen right now. It's just unbelievable. This is like gonna be one of the best lunches I've ever had.
You're making me want to do it. I almost made
your recipe.
I almost did it last night. When I asked the kids what they wanted to eat. Normally we would go out and pick the food up on Fridays, but the weather was just so messy yesterday. We just stayed in. So I see we got a little.
So what now?
All right, so you can go ahead and throw that bok in.
Got it.
Just to bruise it a little bit.
Scallions?
Yep. How much oil is in the pan?
None.
None? Yeah, toss a little bit in there.
All right.
Not much, just so that the bottom of the pan isn't dry.
Got it.
There we go. That's good. And that bok is not going to take long to cook at all.
No, it doesn't.
Once you see that it loses its size just a little bit, you don't have any other vegetables, right?
Just the ginger and the garlic. Okay.
Once that starts to lose its size a little bit, you can go ahead and throw in that ginger and garlic.
Sure thing.
Yep. It looks like it's losing size now, so you can go ahead and throw that in there.
Got it. This is so fun, guys.
And the next few steps are going to go really fast.
Okay.
So once it begins to smell fragrant, you can go ahead and pour in your mixture.
My sauce?
Yep, your sauce.
Really? Already?
Yeah, it's about that time.
Sure. This is what I'm talking about. Like, this might actually encourage me to make lunch every day. All right. Got our sauce.
What about like chicken stock?
Got it right here.
Okay.
Is that going in now?
Add a little bit of that chicken. Yeah, add a little bit of that chicken stock in there.
All of it or just a little?
Just start with a little.
All right.
All right.
We added a little.
It's no longer thick, right?
Not as thick, no.
Yeah.
Should it not? It shouldn't be thick at all?
There should be a little bit of flow. So if you got to add a little bit more chicken stock, you can.
Okay. This is super cool. All right.
Because what's going to happen, you got that cornstarch in there.
Mm-hmm.
And, once it touches the heat, it'll seize up quickly. So now it's just a dump game. Start with the beef, dump that beef in there.
Yeah.
Now, are you comfortable with the doneness of the beef? Because normally,
considering the fact that I've been eating this beef like a crazy person, you haven't seen me like just sitting here chomping on it.
All right. Is it bubbling? I can't see it.
Yes.
All right.
It's starting to. Yeah.
Okay, once it starts to get a really good bubble, just dump everything in there. Dump
The
start
carrots
with
and
the
the
veggies.
onions. Okay,
Dump that in there.
got it.
Mix that
Yes.
around. And
Oh my,
I like to dump in the noodles last
yeah,
because you don't want to just be mixing all the noodles around because they have a tendency to break.
right.
So that's the last thing that I add in because I just don't want it to break.
You got to give me a second because I've got to like, quality control.
Grab your fork.
Oh, you know me too well. All right, let's see. Let's get a good bite. Get a carrot to make sure
Gosh, that looks so
good.
good. That
It's
looks really good.
your recipe.
You know what? The good thing about it, I try to explain to people often that, you know, if you don't get a recipe right the first time, like you got to understand like temperature, like the way in which like the pans you use, the pots, sometimes it doesn't come out well. Like I've
Right.
boxed many people's recipes and like how you always say don't begin with butter. Like every
Ooh.
ounce, oh, that's the taste good dance.
Ooh. Wait a minute. Ooh. About to have me hear praise dances, sir. This is so good.
I'm glad you like it.
Like is not the word.
Who's so
Like is not the word.
who's all eating it today? Just you and the kids?
My son is not a huge fan of anything Asian inspired.
Really?
Yeah. He'll eat this part, but it's with the once I put the noodles in, he won't want it.
Yeah.
Not sure about the hubs. He loves Asian inspired stuff, but I don't know. My daughter and I are about to tear this up. I don't know why you said this is 4 to 6 servings. Noodles, drop the noodles.
Yep, go ahead and drop it in there. And one thing about me, I'm also trying to be conscious about what a serving is. So in my mind, I know a big bowl of pasta is one serving for me. But then when you look at the back of the packaging, and sometimes they'll say a serving is 2 ounces.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's like half a serving. That's like half a serving for me.
Yeah, that's why I will never be thin because I don't even pay attention to that stuff. My friends, wait a minute. I wish I had my overhead camera on because I want you all to see. Like I have to I am flummoxed and flabbergasted at how delicious.
And easy.
Oh, I forgot the chiles.
No,
Do I
that's
add them now?
No, that's optional. But you can add those in. I really like to load up on the chiles.
Okay.
Just because I love heat.
Me too. So I have guajillo.
Yep, there you go. And I even when and you're at this point you're done. So as long as everything's incorporated, you're done at this point. You can plate. And I even like to add some crushed red pepper flakes over top.
Even after the chili.
I love a spicy lo mein.
I'll do that for myself. But with the guajillo chilies, I'm gonna let that be the heat for my daughter.
Yeah.
But I feel like I need to test it again.
How many minutes was that?
I don't know.
That wasn't long at all.
I have no idea. But what I do know is that your girl has got to get some of this in her belly right now. Ooh, first of all, I need to turn that off. Because you're right, it's a seasoned pan. Nothing's going to stick to it, but I still don't want to burn the food. All right, y'all, here we go. Moment of truth.
Here we go.
I'm about to burn my mouth off. It's about to be so worth it. Woo, hold on a second. Let me thank you for the food.
Just go. It's gonna be worth the roof burn.
Right, roof, tongue, cheeks, all of it.
God, Now you make me want to just fire some up for today.
Mm.
I like it.
This one right here, y'all. This
I'm
right
telling
here,
you.
this right here, strong recommend. Make it today. The ingredients are not hard to source.
At
Like
all.
Ahmed said, the hardest thing to source is going to be the bok choy. If you can't find that, get some
Cabbage.
cabbage.
You can also use kale. You can really use any dark leaf green.
Yeah.
I would just say
fibrous one though.
Yeah, fibrous, but just
I'm
cook it
listening.
towards the end. Like greens are always going to take literally no time to cook. So just make sure you incorporate into that at the end of the recipe. I'm glad you like it.
I love this recipe.
I'm glad you like it.
Ooh, this just made its way into my regular rotation. This is so delicious, and it was so easy to make. My daughter, she loves. You hungry? Speaking of my daughter, I'm gonna make her plate, her bowl. She's working on her knife work.
Look at how good that looks. And you know what's really important?
What's
here's
that?
What's really important. Like, and here's what I like about you is because you can bake and you can cook.
Oh yeah.
Like, the color is really what I love. Like, have you ever had a lo mein that just it looked like didn't have any sauce on it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is not this lo mein.
That looks like it has perfect color. That's how I like mine.
So let me just tell you what just happened. Hold on, I'm still like, okay. Let me tell you what just happened. I plated some up for my daughter, and the beaming smile that came across her face when I handed her bowl, that is what I, as a mother, aspire to every time I hand my kids a plate or a bowl. Somebody's writing in the chat. Oh, okay. She is so happy right now over this meal. And I'm so thrilled for a couple of reasons. Number one, I want my kids to eat more than chicken nuggets and French fries and burgers. I want them to understand that there are other cuisines where there's a richness in the food that doesn't necessarily always appear in even our cuisines, right? And I'm sorry, African American food is some of the richest on earth, but there's something about the umami factor that you get in like Asian and Indian and other cuisines that doesn't appear in our food, and our kids should experience that.
Absolutely.
So when I saw the excitement on her face just now for the plate of food that I was providing her, it just my heart went pitter patter. It just doesn't such a pitter patter.
Doesn't that feel good when the kids appreciate the food? Like, you know, the best critics are the kids.
They are.
Like, because they're going to be honest. They're going to be honest every time. And you know what?
Every time.
And when they say they like it, I know they really like it.
Right. Because they're not going to cut cards. They're not going to. They are not at all. I mean, I've told the story before about my 6-year-old son when he was 6. He's 9 now. He was sitting 6 feet away from me at the end of the counter, and I served him a plate of food. And he looked at me with a very straight look on his face and asked, "Are you happy with the salt levels in this dish?" And I'm like, there's no good answer to that question. Absolutely no good answer to that question. Because if I say I'm not, then the follow-up question from any good critic is, then why did you serve it?
Gosh.
And then if I say I am, then the follow-up is, oh, because then the assumption is that you have no taste and you don't know what you're doing as a chef because the salt level is off. So I was like, that really impressed upon me that my children will always tell me the truth when it comes to food. So it's a double-edged sword.
You need it though. Like I tell my kids like you need it. I tell my kids and my wife I'll be honest with you. Like if something's not right, I'll taste it and I'll be quick to like tell my wife like, hey, I'm not serving this tonight. like pride in everything to the side. Like I'm even like when I'm testing recipes, I will
Yeah.
literally tell them we're not eating this and
Oh yeah.
we'll do something else. But I think it's important too, and it helps you, at least for me. Look at that. For me, it really helps me to grow in the kitchen, knowing that I'm not committed to anything. I'm not just going to serve. And people, people should take pride. When you cook for someone, you should take pride in that.
Absolutely. And I think that's on the savory side of the house and the sweet side of the house.
Yeah.
You and I take such pride in what we serve to people, whether we are serving it up as a recipe on our YouTube channel. And by the way, drop your YouTube for everybody in the comments so that they know where to find you. I want everybody to be following your incredible recipes on YouTube. I want them to see this United Nations of jollof rice that you've created.
You know what?
You have created the Switzerland of jollof because the jollof wars are real, sir.
it is real. You know what? And in DC, they do a jollof rice wars every year.
They really do.
I've never been to one of the festivals, but I hear it's a good time. I hear it's a good time at the festival.
I want everybody to follow you because I just think it's so cool to know somebody who is so supportive and so good in the kitchen and so good at explaining how to do something this delicious, right? Like you said, restaurant quality right at home, and they can find a bunch of it on your site.
Mm-hmm. Like, oh, absolutely. And
this took us no time. This took us no time to make.
And what I love about it, I try to tell people too, I encourage people to get back into the kitchen. Mm-hmm. Hundreds of years ago, there weren't any chefs. There were just people who prepared meals with simple ingredients. And at the Prince Eats, it's always about simple, fresh, and sophisticated. Mm-hmm. That is the origin of cooking in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. So when you see me feature a lot of these videos on my YouTube, I try to bring it from a perspective that it shouldn't be complicated.
It shouldn't be.
To create really delicious, quick, high value. I always talk about having a high value meal. Yeah. Every meal that, especially when you're a working parent like yourself, like me, you put in hours during the day and then you come home and you got to cook for kids and you got to do parent stuff at home. You're not going to have time every night to spend an hour or two in the kitchen.
And who wants to? Because then you got to clean it all up.
Mm-hmm. But a meal like this, you can do it in no time. Mm-hmm. It stores well. So you can put it in the refrigerator and you can bring it back out.
This won't last that long. Once I get to it.
If it lasts. If it lasts that long. But
once I get to it. Like I've been doing the Thanksgiving thing where you save up, don't eat much during the day.
That doesn't work. That never works.
That's for me today. That's just me today.
I'm glad.
And it was worth it. Absolutely. I have enjoyed making this meal. I have enjoyed your company today. Like this has been such an enlightening and engaging experience. I wanted to share a new recipe that'll be on my blog in the next day or two. And because I knew when I looked at the ingredients, I knew this was just going to be so delectable and simple, but rich, right? It's got a lot of depth of flavor. It's got really rich flavors. That beef that's in it is just so incredible. I wanted to do something that was really, really quite simple to pair with it. And I did. Since we've been talking about the ability to make something quickly, right, for your family in this dish, I wanted to pair it with a dessert that you could also make quickly. And what did I pair it with? My orange shortbread cookie.
I knew it was going to be something with orange.
Why'd you know? How did you know?
I just knew it. When you told me that you were going to pair it with something, you weren't just going to pull something out. That citrusy flavor goes really well with things that are salty and umami flavor, and it's literally on the palate. It's really the perfect combination.
Yeah. So my shortbread cookies do not feature eggs. They come together super fast. There's only a few ingredients. In fact, in order to come together even faster, instead of granulated sugar, it uses confectioner's sugar.
Good.
Just a little bit of flour, some really, really good butter. You want to make sure you use really good butter. Just a tiny bit of orange zest. Like the recipe will be up for you guys either tomorrow or Monday. But I thought that this would be perfect because it's something that while one person is making this, another person could literally be making shortbread cookies.
Yep. And hey, there can be tag team in the kitchen.
Right.
Do you like when other people are in the kitchen? I typically don't.
Why do you ask me that question? You know we got company here. I'm supposed to be PC and say I love when other people cook in the kitchen with me, but I can't. I can't lie to our friends like that. No.
You know what? In the kitchen, I typically like to be by myself. You know, whenever my wife is in the kitchen, I give her space. I might come and bother her. I might bother her, but I'm not coming in trying to manipulate her recipe. You know, that's what husbands do.
Well, you're still alive. So we know that you're not doing that.
Right.
Leave that woman alone in the kitchen.
I like to bother her in the kitchen. You know how husbands are. We got to come in and if things are going too well, that doesn't make sense. We got to add some mischief.
Some drama, yeah. Yep. Yeah, I know. But this is kind of my Zen space. Not right now because it's a mess, but this is my space where I can play with ingredients, where I can execute incredible meals like this beef lo mein that I just made, where I don't know, if I'm having a bad day, like I find myself on my yoga mat first and then in my kitchen. And somehow the bad days they evolve into, this too shall pass. Or it's not a bad day anymore. I just love being in this space. And I'm so, so beyond grateful that you joined me today in this space.
I enjoyed it. It was fun. You know, I tell people all the time on social media, everybody has their perceptions and everybody is going to have their expectations. And I let people know, I'm just really looking for genuine connections with people. Yeah. Because there's value to that. You know, you never know who can be your support tomorrow.
Right.
You know, I can't tell you how many people I was able to give a referral to just from having connections, whether it be a baker, whether it be a caterer. Even recently, I was talking to someone about cookbooks. I was able to give a person a reference for a publisher.
So nice.
It's I really hope if people don't take anything away from this is, when you're positive, well, whether it be you draw from spirituality or whatever the case might be, that stuff comes back. It comes to pay you back.
It really does.
So,
it truly does.
I'm glad to be to have you as a supporter. You're always positive. I love your followers. Your followers are always positive.
They are so dope. They truly are.
They're really good. But I think that's just a test. That's really just really indicative of your brand. And I think you invest in your brand, like how I told you today. People should be looking to you as really a model for how to conduct business, because we lose customer service.
Yeah.
And it's like what you did today was just a fine example of great customer service. I tell people about that all the time. People don't know.
Yeah, but I hated doing that. You what?
But you did that. You did that for your people.
Yeah.
And
my people. Yeah.
you do that for your people. I take customer service very serious. I mean, I review restaurants, and the number one thing that I always make sure to really articulate is how well a restaurant does with customer service.
Yeah, always. We have some people who have been in the chat. They have been so patient. Let's see what they're saying. Let us see what they are saying.
Someone's talking about Miss Butter.
That's me. That's
Oh,
my
that.
friend Sharon. That's what she calls me.
Oh, okay.
All right. Sharon said, hi. Oh, glad to be here from Woodstock, Georgia. Yep. It's hot. Okay. Twin Marquis, thank you so much. Okay. Hamed, you have like been on it. How have you been on the chat, on top of the chat, while we've been in
Listen,
here talking?
when I tell you managing Zoom, managing talking and working the chat is something that's a skill I've had to perfect over the last 3 years.
Well, let me tell you what. I am going to right now on this Zoom make sure that I ask you to come back again, because it has been my honor to have you on the inaugural episode of I'll Bring Dessert.
I will be back. As long as you will have me, I will be back. I'll be
Thank
back
you,
as many
Hamed.
times as you'll invite me.
You guys, go follow the Prince Eats on Instagram. Go follow the Prince Eats on YouTube. We both have YouTube channels, as a matter of fact. Mine is at Begin with Butter. Hamed's is at the Prince Eats. Yeah, go follow those so that you can get just some amazing food content and be completely inspired. This is one of the first people who inspired me on my blogging journey, and I will be forever grateful to him for that.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you. And thank you all for joining us today. I truly appreciate you all for being here. Hamed, I will look forward to seeing you again on and I'll bring dessert. But I will look forward to seeing you again very soon.
Can't wait.
All righty. Take care, everybody.
All right.
Bye. Bye.